to retire defeated, carrying their eggs and young ones with them. Livingstone avows that he never saw the warlike instinct so strongly developed as in these sirafus. The stoutest man, the largest animal, a lion or an elephant, quails before the grip of their mandibles. No obstacle impedes their progress, no tree is too lofty for them to scale, and they contrive to cross wide streams by forming their own bodies into a kind of suspension bridge. Equally amazing are their numbers. Dr. Chailu, another African traveller, relates how it took more than 12 hours for a column of ants to file past him, without a moment's pause in their march. These numbers, however, cease to be so surprising when it is explained that their fecundity is such that a single female of the termites bellicosi has been estimated to produce as many as 60,000 eggs a day. These Neuroptera furnish the natives with a favourite food, grilled ants being considered a great delicacy. "Have you ever tasted them?" asked Hercules with a grin. "Never," answered the naturalist, "but I am in hopes I shall have a chance of doing so very soon." "Surely you don't imagine yourself in Africa?" said Tom suddenly. "Africa? No, why should I?" replied Benedict; "but as I have already seen a tsetse in America, I do not despair of having the satisfaction of discovering white ants there too. You do not know the sensation I shall make in Europe when I publish my folio volume and its illustrations." It was evident that no inkling of the truth had yet entered poor Benedict's brain, and it seemed likely that it would require a demonstration far more striking than any natural phenomena to undeceive the minds of such of the party as were not already in possession of the fatal secret. Although it was 9 o'clock, Cousin Benedict went on talking incessantly, regardless of the fact that one by one his audience were falling to sleep in their separate cells. Dick Sands did not sleep, but neither did he interrupt the entomologist by farther questions. Hercules kept up his attention longer than the rest, but at length he too succumbed to weariness, and his eyes and ears were closed to all external sights and sounds. But endurance has limits, and at last Cousin Benedict, having worn himself out, clambered up to the topmost cell of the cone, which he had chosen for his dormitory, and fell into a peaceful slumber. The lantern had already been extinguished; all was darkness and silence within, whilst the storm without still raged with a violence that gave no sign of abatement. Dick Sands himself was the only one of the party who was not partaking in the repose that was so indispensable to them all; but he could not sleep; his every thought was absorbed in the responsibility that rested on him to rescue those under his charge from the dangers that threatened them. Again and again he recalled every incident that had occurred since the loss of Captain Hull and his crew. He remembered the occasion when he had stood with his pistol pointed at Negoro's head. Why, oh why, had his hand faltered then? Why had he not at that moment hurled the miserable wretch overboard, and thus relieved himself and his partners in trouble from the catastrophe that had since befallen them? Peril was still staring them in the face, and his sole drop of consolation in the bitter cup of despondency was that Mrs. Weldon was still ignorant of their real situation. At that moment, just in the fever of his agony, he felt a light breath upon his forehead, a hand was laid upon his shoulder, and a gentle voice murmured in his ear, "My poor boy, I know everything. God will help us. He will be done." End of part the second. Chapter 5. Recording by Alex C. Talander, Davis, California. www.alexctalander.com